A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, welcome. I am so pleased to see you, and I'm so happy to be able to welcome back Jagoda Salewska. Welcome, Jagoda.
Thank you so much, Mary, for having me again. I'm very grateful to be here and chat with you today.
And you've just been telling me that you're in Madrid at the moment. You're looking absolutely radiant. Madrid suits you, I think.
Actually, I'm in Barcelona, but Madrid is another Spanish city. They are not far from each other, but Barcelona has advantage, has a sea.
Ah, yes, yeah. Oh, that's why I was getting confused about the sea. Okay. Now I understand. How is Spain?
Spain has been amazing. However, so hot that really difficult to be out during the main hours during the day. So, yeah, it's better to go in the morning or in the night time.
Yes.
Or late afternoon rather than middle day, because it becomes very intense heat.
Yes, I should think so. Mm-hmm. And today, Jagoda, we're going to talk about Nat Mur, is that right?
Yes, Nat Mur, the remedy of my choice, and feel very connected with that remedy. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
Okay, tell me why. Tell me why you have chosen Nat Mur.
I feel like deep down, I might be Nat Mur. Not that I follow the constitutional understanding always, but I personally feel very, very much Nat Murish, very much, especially as a child and teenage years. I might have changed and have some different layers on top, but deep down, I feel this is the remedy. And I feel also this remedy is so much needed at some point for everyone, almost like there will be circumstances that you might need it, and it's so essential in life that I don't know, it's just I feel this strong connection with it because I'm drawn to the sea.
Yes.
And Nat Mur, I don't know if everyone is aware, is a salt which you find in the sea, in everywhere where you cook, you put salt. It's in all our cells of our body.
Yes.
Essential salt without which one we cannot function really. So yeah, that's why I feel this strong connection with Nat Mur, and I also trust, or believe rather, that it was one of the first remedies I took when I first. It might have been Ignatia, but I feel also it probably was followed by Nat Mur, because often one or another can follow each other. So Ignatia often is more for acute presentation of grief and sorrow, where Nat Mur is for that prolonged and deep. Sorry, I'm starting already talking about the picture of the remedy.
Well, let's jump straight in, because we need to know why Nat Mur. So what do you feel when you think, oh my goodness, this person has got Nat Mur in them or needs a bit of Nat Mur?
So Nat Mur is this sensation of deep sadness, often caused by so many things. I mean, grief, bereavement, loss of pet, loss of something that we cannot express. We hold on to it, but we want to be left alone. We want to cry alone. We don't want to be with people or surrounded by people, and we cannot express outside. There's a lot of going on inside for Nat Mur, but it's like locked up, and the remedy itself allows that emotions to be released gently out for kind of processing the state of that loss, sadness, grief. So that's the first thing you see when people who had, for example, acute grief, and then they haven't, or they have, took Ignatia for it, and then sometimes it just converts in that state where they just want to be left alone. They don't want to socialize. They want to kind of locked up themselves, being very introvert at the time, and cannot express. Even sometimes with Nat Mur we say you cry alone, but sometimes you cannot release those tears even. And there are so many in the history and in literature as well examples of the salty tears, which is so interesting because yes, that's a Nat Mur where you want to release, and tears of salt evoke this deep sorrow and grief and painful weight. We have this emotional experience. So yeah, and also holding into it with a little bit bitterness, like we cannot let it go in a way. That's why Nat Mur allows this process of letting go, that sorrow, grief, pain, wound sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be that you are wounded and you cannot let it go, that wound as well.
So we're talking about a hurt, aren't we? We're talking about somebody who has been really deeply hurt by something and who has got that hurt deep inside them. And so much tenderness and so much sensitivity wrapped up with that hurt, but then kind of held it. And it might be held in by a strong outside shell, so that until you get to know that person, you don't necessarily see that tenderness inside, because sometimes they can put on quite a front, can't they?
Yes, they build this kind of psychological wall around themselves to not let people in too close. But yeah, there is this tenderness within Nat Mur, which is, as you said, protected inside and not to be shown outside, because they are perfectionists.
Yes.
Very much perfectionists, and they really have that sensitive side, but they just don't want to show that out to other people, and they kind of prefer to protect and put that wall around their emotions and not to let people in.
Okay, so and this is a remedy that also we see a lot in children as well, don't we? So we might not see that grief and tenderness, but as you mentioned, we see that perfectionist. We see how they dress, how they want to be presented to the world.
Yes, and they try to be perfectionists, but at the same time, often in the Nat Mur children, you have this imperfectionists, meaning they often have some delays. They might be very skinny.
Okay.
They might have some speech delay or learning delays, often constipation. Because when you look at Nat Mur, you see as a salt as well as a tissue salt, because it's an amazing remedy that comes in both. Yeah, so it comes as a tissue salt and comes as a remedy. That everything is to do with the dryness, to the water balance.
Of course.
So yeah, those kids have also tendency to constipation because of the dryness. Sometimes there might be some high fever symptoms that present with streaming and discharges that are converting often to white egg discharges, like a thick, clear discharges, and this kind of irritation with that because they are sensitive. They are sensitive to light. They are sensitive to sounds.
Yeah.
They often might lose in the course of high fever or cold, because high fever or cold, sometimes you cannot really differentiate what's what, no, at first. And for us, the symptoms of Nat Mur will be the same. Like you're streaming from the eyes, you're streaming from the nose, you have lots of sneezing. And then the light, the sound irritates you, and then you might lose your smell. You might lose your taste.
Yeah.
So all of this is very much Nat Mur presentation of kids who are getting sick in a Nat Mur way.
Yes, that's right. And we've got that dryness, haven't we? And we've got perhaps cracked lips or mouth ulcers and all sorts of things going on acutely in this Nat Mur. So it's such a diverse remedy, isn't it?
Yes, so lots of things going with the mucous membranes.
Uh-huh.
Like you mentioned, the crackness of the lips, the cold sores also often associated with the cracked lip in the middle.
Yes.
I have also the teeth. Sensitivity of the teeth is there.
Yeah.
Brushing, touching to the different things, and yeah, the mouth ulcers, even stomach problems. That if there is this emotion of sadness, might cause some indigestion as well within them. So yeah, mucous membranes are affected by Nat Mur profoundly, because it's also to do with the water balance in the body. So
Yes. Yes.
any type of dryness. Yeah.
Let's just mention quickly, because you mentioned the difference between the cell salt and as a normal homeopathic remedy. So let's just have a quick update on the difference between the two, can we? Because cell salt we use a little bit differently, don't we?
Yes, we do. I treat them, or many people probably do, like a homeopathic supplement a little bit, because
Okay.
the 6x potency, so you actually get a physical material in the remedy. So there is the need sometimes for frequent repetition of cell salts is anything between 2 to 4 times a day. And we'll work mainly on the physical symptoms because of how low potency is. So sometimes if there is this physical presentation of, let's say, dehydration, Nat Mur is amazing combined with couple other cell salts like califos and macphos. So you need that actual substance, and you can put that in your water and drink it to hydrate yourself instead of doing electrolyte drink.
Okay, so it's acting as an electrolyte, effectively helping you.
Yeah. Rebalancing the water balance in the body, especially if there was some diarrhea or vomiting, where the remedy itself often requires much higher potencies. And yeah, in some cases like cold sore or anything to do with mouth ulcers or simple things that just occur, you would go for 30C, but probably mental ailments would need 200C or higher. It really depends on the energy of the patient. Also, I believe Nat Mur is one of those remedies we might need sometimes for prolonged time, and often you might need to change the potency. So you start lower, and then you increase the potency with the time. And yeah, you might go up like from 200, then 1M, then 10M. It really depends. I mean, cases varies, but some people need Nat Mur for a long time because that deep, profound feelings that are locked up, they just don't happen overnight. That they're gonna be released, and there might be past traumas,
and then you need time to be processing those past traumas. And I know this because recently I've been helping somebody who has got severe allergies to so many things, and we have started with Nat Mur. And she said, "Is this going to help my allergies?" And I said, "Let's see where it takes us." And first of all, oh my goodness, it has opened up so much for her to be processing that suddenly she realized why her physical health is related to her emotional health. So is this something that you find quite often with this remedy?
Yes, yes. And often when these emotions are so locked up, the physical symptoms are also suppressed in a way.
Yeah.
I found this in few cases that once you start giving Nat Mur, actually the aggravation might happen that the release of the emotion is also associated with increased discharges from the body, because the body wants to release that stuckness. If there was no discharges before, we might see that actually at first you will get lots of streaming. And that's beautiful, that how Nat Mur wants to rebalance that and release the stuckness. Even though we're saying that most of the cases are about streaming with Nat Mur, but there are also dryness, because every remedy is about polarity. Yeah? You get those two extremes.
Yeah.
So it can be that, you stream a lot, or you actually very, very dry. And that's the beauty of the remedies, that we can use and rebalance both ends, both opposite sides of the same thing. So
because the remedy is balancing, as you say, it's taking those two extremes and helping the body balance. So you're right, we can use it in so many different aspects with that. So interestingly, that when we find them, we realize taking homeopathy is all about learning more about yourself, isn't it? Because I mean, I love the words that you used. It releases stuckness. You know, and stuckness, we actually talk about quite a lot with homeopathy, don't we?
yes, it's often an obstacle in a way that the emotions or physical symptoms get stuck for some reason. And I wouldn't call Nat Mur the first remedy to open that, but if their causation is very clear, like emotional distress, sadness, loss, then that will be opening remedy for many things to happen for the patient, and that remedy might actually help to release that first layer, where the next things will be different things to follow. And often what I see in a case is that you start from Nat Mur, and then you uncover, the anger is underlying that sadness. Yeah. So you might need to give staphysagria after. And that often in my cases, that follows, that you start from Nat Mur, so because you see that deep sadness and grief, but actual emotion there is actually resentment, anger. And so, it can really move the case to more deeper remedy and emotion that was more profound in that case, but it was covered up by that grief.
So let's just talk about these layers, because when a client comes to us, and quite often they're coming to us with a physical complaint, and we're asking them all sorts of ridiculous questions in order to find out what might have been the cause for the body to give these symptoms right now. And so when we first start realizing, okay, we've got a lot of emotion deep down there, because of course the Nat Mur person might take a little while to trust us, to let us in, mightn't they?
Yes, we might need to kind of open them up.
Yes.
With that remedy, because we question, but often the most important, not most important, but the things they hold onto, they will not release. They might just say a word or two.
Yes.
They might not be ready to actually let them out. But Nat Mur might allow the case to open up and progress with what's going on.
So what you're saying is they come to us and they're quite reserved and quite closed, and we're getting some idea that there's something underneath, some underlying sadness, some sensitivity in there. So we give the remedy Nat Mur, and then they come back next time, and what do we see?
We often see more brighter person, and a person who actually recognizes that there are things that they need to work on that emotional level. But also, in my cases, as I mentioned before, I often see that other emotions might be also buried in, and that they will be released. And yeah, the good example of Nat Mur is when that stuckness and holding onto emotions is so profound. When you have, for example, eczema or acne on the skin, followed by grief, so you cannot release that. It's like your body is telling you something. The skin way of releasing when it cannot be released other way, like cannot be released through bowels or reprocess. The emotions are not being processed, or you suddenly see hair loss, or amenorrhea, like a lack of menses.
Yes,
because the body is signaling that, like you're trying to close up with those emotions, and the body starts showing that in a physical symptoms. No,
so the emotional feelings lead to the physical symptoms, and the physical symptoms are trying to tell you that something's stuck. So we give the remedy Nat Mur, and they come back a few weeks later and find that things are starting to move, things are starting to change. And most importantly, those physical symptoms might actually be changing too because of that emotional release, which leads us on to another remedy that might be needed.
Yes, that's right. And often the good indication of the change will be, for example, they start sleeping better.
Okay.
Also, Nat Mur is a big remedy for insomnia, alongside other remedies like Ignatia and other remedies. But if they start sleeping better, and often in the case of both remedies, you wake up between 3 to 5 a.m. because that's a long hour. That's where your sadness is whole in your lungs. So when you see the improvement in the sleep and the rest, then yes, that's the physical symptoms being changing, and then it might be leading to different remedy. Or if the still remedy is working, we might need to increase the potency and stay on it a little bit longer.
Okay, so it's fascinating, isn't it? Because what we're actually talking about here is releasing these layers, breaking down this wall bit by bit so that it is not overwhelming for somebody. And it's such a good example of when people ask, well, how long is this take? And we say, well, that depends on your body, and that depends on how able you are to process the cause of your symptoms and how deep we're going to go with this. It is a great remedy to show this, isn't it?
Yes. And sometimes it's just, we don't live in isolation. There are things happening in life, and then the process slows down, or we might need a change, and it's so individual how soon. And we often have more than one grief in our life, and we thought, okay, we've processed that past griefs, and this one is just a new one. But actually, we might have griefs going back to our childhood, to that happen in a uterus. I mean, is so connected, Nat Mur, with amniotic fluid. So
yes,
you might need interchange of the remedies, or remedies alongside the Nat Mur, to help those other things that body needs to release. And
of course you mentioned that dryness and the fact that excretion channels might be clogged up there, so we might be looking at some strong organ support remedies at the same time, mightn't we?
yes, we do. And especially Nat Mur will be connected purely with kidneys, no, and water balance in the body, and the lungs, because kidneys and lungs are connected. So, often there is a need to support on a physical level those organs to see the change, like the changes. For example, hypertension also is one of the Nat Mur indications, or thyroid issues.
Yes.
And acutely, you have so many other indications for Nat Mur, like shingles, malaria, and you name it. I mean, so many, like trigeminal information of the nerve is also Nat Mur. So we just need to look at the themes and modalities. That's what we, as a homeopaths, are so keen on knowing. So what makes your symptoms better or worse? Like, often people might not pay attention to those things, but that's so important. And modalities can allow you to differentiate if that's actually Nat Mur or other remedies. And in Nat Mur, we are worse by heat of the sun. And it can be, again, both extremes, because being by the sea supposedly be worse for Nat Mur, but some people can be so much better by the sea. So the sea, the dampness, also connection with the moon is very strong in Nat Mur. So full moon can be you can be worse by full moon, but or better by full moon, because the moon governs the cycles and the water as well. So, and you better by resting, open air, but deep breathing, where this is going to your lungs, sweating, which is the water of your like juices of your body, so that's what we need to actually decide if it's Nat Mur or not.
Yes, and that's interesting, because of course Nat Mur is a big headache remedy, and quite often we're associating, you need more water if you've got a headache. So again, it relates back to that water balance, doesn't it?
Yes, migraines are big with Nat Mur, especially frontal headaches and the migraines caused by sun, because some people are so sensitive to sun. So yes, big remedy for that. And other conditions that can be affected by headaches. The headaches can also be caused by mental exertion, like mental effort, or emotional upset.
Yeah.
And if the deep feeling, let's say, after argument, is the sadness and crying, initially might be ignatia, but if it doesn't help, maybe Nat Mur is an answer here, because some people will be more Nat Murish even in the acute state where they cry, but they just want to isolate themselves after having some type of argument. Lots of also eye streaming and nose streaming symptoms, as we talked early in a cold, so high fevers. That's eye infections also can be not treated with Nat Mur if they present with this streaming and clear discharges and irritation in a way.
So it's a remedy that we look at for quite a few acute symptoms. It's a remedy that we look at very much for really deep constitutional use, or a layer that needs to be cleared on the way to finding your best health. Because often it's not just one remedy we need, is it? We need to go through where you are now, where the energy is. We need to get deeper. And of course, we've talked a lot about grief, and the grief doesn't have to be losing somebody. It could be something else. It could be something which has caused sadness, perhaps, the change in a relationship, or the change with your pets, or moving house even.
Yeah, I mean, the moving is losing what no, in a way. your roots. And yes, big changes with Nat Mur can be, as you mentioned, that just something that is different and puts us in that emotional state of like overwhelmed a little bit and wanting, like feeling unbalanced with our emotions. And if we feel like this, just even it can be during the summer, like we feel those blue days, and it can be sunny day, but suddenly, yeah, the sadness comes from nowhere. It's like this remedy can be really helpful in that states. So that's very important remedy for so many emotional but also physical symptoms associated with our kind of balance. No, like we need to drink to we water our plants. We need to drink, and when Nat Mur is a part of that water balance in our body, and if that balance is somehow not there, we need to rebalance it. So often those physical symptoms will be related to that, as you mentioned, like the headaches and
I think that's a really good point for people to take away. If they were to take away one thing about this remedy, the water balance is the key, really, isn't it? It's how your body is flowing, because we've got that mucus and yet we've got that dryness.
Yes, exactly. So that disturbance in the balance of the water, I would say, and it's interesting because Apis is an acute remedy of Nat Mur. And where would you use Apis? When you have a sudden swelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, the water balance is so suddenly off the chart. And then also it's a top remedy for UTIs, urinary tract infections. So it's like a sudden presentation of Nat Mur symptoms, which can be more slower. And Apis will be very rapid.
The flare. Yes, the flare of it. And that's so interesting, isn't it? Because, I talked about somebody coming with allergies. And so they would be taking Apis, but they need Nat Mur to go deeper. And that is really, really important. And two different remedies on completely different spheres, but both of them have that suddenness or calmness, but the same balance in the body reactions.
Yeah, and it's recognizing what's needed right now. Yeah, this different
where the energy is.
Yeah, where the energy is and what needs addressing right now, and yeah, interchanging remedies as the energy of the physical and emotional symptom changes. No, so Apis might be a start, but then, as you said, it might be a Nat Mur later on, and yeah.
And quite often we would go in with a flare remedy, wouldn't we? Something for right now, and then, okay, that's calmed down. Let's go now and address the cause, why this is happening in your body.
Yes. And I often see also in cases that when I prescribe Nat Mur, I often might need to give them in a cell salt as well alongside. So it's like that physical need and the emotional goes alongside. So
that's very interesting. So you might give a cell salt and a homeopathic of the same remedy at just completely different frequency.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like feeding more physical need and more higher potencies for emotional state. Yeah.
Jagoda, it's been so interesting talking with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for explaining a little bit more about Nat Mur. I'm just hoping that people will be really interested now to go away and do some more research and find out a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mary. It was a pleasure to chat with you. And it's such a great remedy to talk about. It's like,
isn't it?
We're still getting into something like so deep that you can carry on.
Exactly.
Not to mention that later on, obviously Nat Mur is a polycress and has been made a long time ago, but there are newer Nat Murs, like a modern Nat Murs made of some salt, some waters. So there are many different remedies that might be like a little bit modern Nat Murs in a way. But Nat Mur is so profound and so yeah, essential in life, I would say.
It
So.
might be interesting, Jagoda, to come back sometime and actually talk about the differences between the new remedies and all the different salts so that we can go a little bit deeper, because I think you will have inspired some people here to find out much more.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like, it's a really profound remedy to explore and see, because we don't necessarily want to be Nat Mur as a constitutional, but it's not about that. It's about the layer within us and something that allows us to release, as we were chatting, and open up and remove that blockage in emotions we have. And then we might carry on with different remedies. But the layer of Nat Mur might be.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again. And it was a great pleasure chatting with you, Mary, as always. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jagoda. It was so lovely talking to you today, and so grateful for you to come in. And I'm sure that everybody has taken away something really important today. Now, next week, we're going to be talking to Noor Azim, and we're going to be talking about anxiety and remedies for anxiety. It really fits in well here. So I do hope you can join us. I look forward to speaking to you then. Take care. I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.